Alex Hormozi is a first-generation Iranian-American entrepreneur, investor, and philanthropist. In 2013, he started his first brick-and-mortar business. Within 3 years, he successfully scaled his business to 6 locations. He then sold his locations to transition to the gym turnaround business. From there, he spent 2 years turning 32-plus brick-and-mortar businesses around, using the same model that made his privately owned locations successful. After that experience, he packaged his processes into a licensing model, which scaled rapidly in 4 years. Over that same 4-year period, he founded and scaled 3 other companies to $120 million plus in cumulative sales across 4 different industries: software, service, e-commerce, and brick and mortar, without taking on outside capital. He has scaled and exited 7 companies. His most notable exit was his majority sale of his licensing company for $46.2 million in 2021. Alex Hormozi is what you call a savage. And if you want to learn how to grow a business just by selling, just by marketing, and just by giving incredible products and services to your customers, then you need to read his books. His first book is $100 Million Offers, which is a true banger. And if you're trying to figure out exactly what offer you want to give to make your company grow, then you need to read that first. But we're going to talk about something a little more recent. We're going to talk about his new book on the scene, which is $100 Million Leads: How to Get Strangers to Want to Buy Your Stuff. And the coolest part about the books that Mozi writes is that he spends so much time on definition. He spends a painstaking amount of time making sure that every word that he uses says what he means and means what he says, if that makes sense. And so, like, even the title of the book, $100 Million Leads, right? How to get strangers to want to buy your stuff. What is a lead? A lead is a stranger who wants to buy your stuff. It doesn't get any more simple than that. And if you listen to a lot of podcasts with Hormozi, and you listen to him talk to people about definitions and ideas and concepts, he spends a lot of time figuring out exactly what words mean. And this is a very powerful thing to do. And I think one of my favorite examples from Alex would have to be, he talks about being exceptional. And he says, if you are exceptional, then by definition, you are the exception. You will be different. You will be weird. So let's get a little weird. Let's talk about this book. So probably one of the first things you'll notice if you kind of like flip through this at the store, or you pick it up because a buddy tells you to, or Charlie mails it to you because he mails this book to everybody, is it has a bunch of like funky pictures in it. It's written in big text. It's really easy to read. And some people are thrown off by that. But I'll tell you, when a book is easy to read, it's because the guy who wrote it spent a lot of time making it easy to read. Spent a lot of time making sure that the concepts make a lot of sense. That the things that are written in here are going to get into here and then become actions. So this book starts off with some stories of how Mozi grew his business, about some of the problems that he had when he was trying to grow his business, some of his big fails, and then his subsequent big wins. Then he goes through and talks about the different types of leads, how to get those leads, how to hire to get more leads in the door faster, and how to get started, what a roadmap would look like. So the sections as they're written is start here, get understanding, get leads, get lead getters, and get started. And I find that this book, as opposed to $100 Million Offers, is so much more of a boots on the ground, this is actually how you do it book than Offers is, right? Offers, while it is foundationally necessary, especially if you're a brand new business, to figure out what you're going to try and get leads for, this book, as a guy who's just run an accounting business for 10 years, was really something I could sink my teeth into. Now, I have read and sent $100 million offers to more people than this one, but that's just because this book's newer, honestly. So I think that if you're trying to look for the spark notes and like, hey, Charlie, what section should I use? Right? It's going to be section 3, get leads. That's the one that I've got tagged, and that's the one that I got bookmarked, and that's the one I got like all the pages dog-eared, and I'm flipping back and forth through it all day long. Right? And the thing that he does in here that is so brilliant, when I talk about how he focuses on definitions so much, is Hormozi posits that there are only 4 ways to get leads. There is warm outreach, there is cold outreach, there is post-free content, there is run paid ads. And if you think about it, that's it. You know, you imagine even back in the day in the time of newspapers, right? You either wrote an ad in the newspaper, or you wrote an editorial, or you got written up in the newspaper. 2 of those are free content, right? The articles in the newspaper. One of them's a paid ad. You get a billboard, that's a paid ad, right? You go and talk on a stage in front of people at a county fair. That's free content, right? If you go tell all your friends you're starting a lawn mowing business, that's warm outreach. If you go knock on everybody's doors to see if they want to get their lawns mowed, that's cold outreach. So even though this book is written for the 21st century, he talks a lot about running ads on platforms and how to set them up and how to use good headlines and all that stuff. All of that's in here in a way that's better than some $10,000 courses that I've taken. Even though all that's in here, when you think about the definitions, how much time he must have spent to make sure that he had gotten it down to the most titrated level, it's hard to beat. You know, it's really, really phenomenal. So once again, though, like to keep it simple, you know, he's got all the pictures in here, gang, right? He makes it easy to read and easy to understand. Now, as a service business, right? As someone who's trying to figure out how to make their business grow, why is this book good for you? Well, when I work with a new company and I'm talking to them about fixing their income statement, or I'm talking to them about how to grow from $1 million a year to $3 million a year, or I'm talking to them about who they need to hire to grow their business to the next level, I always start at the top of the income statement. Okay. And sometimes I say that to people and they go, huh? What does that mean? Right. And if you think of an income statement, what's at the top? Income, right? Without big income, it doesn't matter what's below that, right? Because you ain't going to have the money to pay for the stuff that's below that, right? You can't pay for more marketing if you don't have more money, if you don't have more income. You can't pay for more staff if you don't have more income. You can't start a new location if you don't have income to pay for it. And so a book like this teaches people how to get more income. It doesn't mince words. It doesn't, cause any issues in so much as like, my business is this, or I'm brick and mortar, or I sell products, or we're a drop shipper. No. He has spent so much time making sure that you actually have to, that it actually makes sense regardless of what business it is, that it's truly a brilliant book. And so if you're a business that's looking to grow, which should be every business, then this is a book you should at least flip through. And especially you should start at that section 3 and you should take a look at that core 4. So like what I'm doing right now, this is post-free content, right? When I talk to my clients and say, hey, just so you know, we work off referrals almost exclusively. Almost all of our clients get a discount because they refer to us constantly. Did you know that you get a month of bookkeeping free for every client you refer to us? And just so you don't feel like you're pimping out your friends, they get their first month of bookkeeping free too. Now, do you know anybody who you'd like to have, right? That's our warm outreach. When I have folks come in through my website and I give them a call, that's my cold outreach, right? And so this core 4 is what builds a business. And if you learn from the master here, right, the man who's made probably more money than you have, focusing on this type of stuff, breaking it down to its very base items, and then focusing on how to do them better and faster than everybody else, you will make more money, right? And as an accountant, okay, I spend a lot of time below that income line. That's what I do for my clients. I'm worrying about how much overhead they have, what's their cost of goods sold, why is their staffing so expensive, why is their product cost getting so much higher, right? On and on and on. But realistically, on the back end of things, that's all on the back end of things, right? The top of the income statement is what makes everything happen. And you can only make that happen with leads. All right, guys. So highly recommend anything from the Mosey. This is one of my favorites so far. I know he's been talking about a new book that's coming out. I really hope it's about sales. I know he's a sales savage. But if you're struggling to get new leads into your business, if you're struggling to figure out how to make your business grow, and you already have a good offer, you're already selling something that people are buying, pick up $100 million leads. Charlie, out.